Hi there. Will Baba stock recover after a decline of 77% in their earnings? Because as you can see, their net income have decreased by 70% in the last quarter, Q3. Nobody was expecting something like this major decline. Many investors believed that Alibaba will report higher earnings this quarter, but as you can see, the results weren't that great. The earnings have declined by 77%. So the question is, will Baba recover after this massive decline? Because as you can see, the stock price went down. Year to date, a decline of 1.2%. Of course, if you look at the highest peak in the past, the decline was even higher, over 70%. But let's focus now on the stock price, on the current situation. If Baba can recover, from the current level of $70 to go to 200 or even more. Of course, that can happen only if their earnings will rebound. So we have to ask the question, will those earnings rebound in the future? Because if they do, then Alibaba, the stock price of Baba will go up. And I believe that their earnings will rebound. And let me show you why I think this. First of all, they announced an increase in their buyback program from 25 billion to 45.3 billion. And if you look at the current buyback program of 35.3 billion, compare it to the market cap of 187 billion, this is quite a lot. At the current level, if Alibaba buys back their shares at the current price of $73, your return will be higher than 10%. However, you also have to know that the management said that if they keep buying more shares, the stock price will go up. And they won't be able to buy back their shares at the current level. This cheap price of $73. As they have so much money to buy back their shares, over 45 billion, when they'll start buying back their shares, the stock price will go up. So your return may be about, as management said, over around 3% a year, plus a dividend of around 1.3% or 1.4% at the current price. So the more buybacks they do, the higher the stock price will get. Now, if the stock price stays low for a longer period, let's say for the next 6 months or for the next 2 years, then your return will be quite huge only from those buybacks. But I don't think that will happen. The stock price will go up sooner or later, because as I said, this huge amount of 45.3 billion compared to their market cap of only 187 billion is quite huge. And your return can be over 15% a year, only from the buybacks, plus 1.4% from dividends. So this is the first point, why I believe that Baba will recover, their huge buyback program. Moreover, you also have to look at their assets. As you saw, their market cap of only 187 billion, if you look at their assets, you can see that they have over 35 billion in cash, plus 42 billion, in total over 77 billion. Now, this is only their cash, so they have quite a lot. You also have to look at their investments, their equity securities and equity method investees. As you can see, the value of those assets are about 31 billion plus 29 billion. So in total, their equities are worth around 60 billion. Now, as the stock market in China is so down, because if you look at their index, Crane shares, you can see that is at the lowest peak compared to 2020, when the price was about $45 and now is only about $25. So when this market, China market, will rebound, will go back to the previous level, let's say $40 or 45 or maybe even more, 40, then also the value of Alibaba assets will go up. These valuations will change. They'll be higher. Imagine if you have a double in this index, Crane shares, China, then Alibaba will have an increase in their assets, the value of their assets, from 60 billion to over 100 billion or 120 billion. Then, when you compare their assets to their market cap of only 187 billion, that will be quite huge. So you can have 120 billion only in their assets, their equity securities, plus over 70 billion in cash. So you can have only 200 billion only in cash and equity securities or stocks. And then you compare the value of their assets, 200 billion, with the current market cap of 187 billion, you can see that it's quite a bargain. You can buy Alibaba only based on their assets. So this is the second point, the value of their huge assets. They can become of about 200 billion in the future if China rebounds. That can happen. Now, if you wonder what does Alibaba own, then let me show you. You can see here some of their investments, such as Best, Bilibili, Hello Group, Weibo, and other companies. So, if you buy Alibaba or you are invested in Alibaba, you also own these companies. Now, the fourth point is the revenue. As you can see, for the last quarter, despite this huge decline in their net income over 77%, their revenue has increased by 6%. So this is a good sign. And if you look segment by segment, you can see some huge growth rates. For instance, for Alibaba International, this segment has increased by over 40%. Cainiao by 24%, local services by 13%. Plus, also their cloud computing has increased by 3%, and e-commerce China by only 2%. So the revenue is still growing. And if they keep growing more in the future, they increase the revenue, then also their net income is likely to increase in the future. You can also look at their free cash flow. For the last 3 months, they made of about 8 billion only in free cash flow. And for the last 9 months, almost 20 billion. So Alibaba is making more than 20 billion a year in free cash flow. And that's quite a lot compared to their market cap of only 187 billion. So the more opportunities they have to increase their revenue, the higher their income can get. And if you look segment by segment, you can see that they have quite huge opportunities. E-commerce China, when the economy rebounds in China, then this segment will go up a lot. Also their cloud computing with AI and other cloud services, they can attract more customers and increase the revenue. So the opportunities for this segment are quite huge. Plus, as you can see, Alibaba International keeps growing. They increase their delivery time, and that's a good sign. And if you look closer to their local services in China, you can see that this segment is growing quite fast, of about 14% in the last quarter. And for the last 9 months, a growth rate of 19%. So they have a lot of opportunities. Moreover, you probably know that Alibaba also owns 43% of Ant Group, a financial institution, which has other opportunities. So when you combine Alibaba Group, all their businesses, the growth rate can come from any place. And when the revenue goes up, also their net income will go up. And that's why I believe that Baba stock will rebound from this level, from the current level of $73. This can happen easily. But of course, you also need patience. This may happen this year, at the end of this year, next year, or after 5 years. Nobody knows when that rebound will come. But for sure, the stock price will recover. Now, there is also risk, geopolitical risk, and other competitors, such as PDD Holdings or Pinduoduo. That's why you have to understand very well this business before investing in it. And if you have other questions, please let me know in the comments.